So Musa alayhi salatu salam is mentioned by name. His story is mentioned by name more than any other personality that's found in the Holy Quran. So the story of Musa alayhi salatu salam and his battle against Pharaoh is mentioned more in the Holy Quran than any other story. Even though that's the most important context. But Allah says it is His will when you have a system that sets up people into groups and it makes one of those groups oppressed so that the other groups will be like, well, at least we ain't doing as bad as that group. So why didn't Pharaoh oppress all of the groups? He's like, well, if we oppress all of the groups, I might have a revolution. If I oppress one group, the other groups will always be like, well, at least I'm not doing that bad. At least I'm not like them guys. And so Pharaoh was very strategic about his plan. And Allah wants us to know this plan because He mentions it more than any other story in the Holy Quran. Not so that we can just read it over and over in the month of Ramadan. So that we can understand that whenever a people are oppressed, those same people become leaders in the land and the inheritors in the land. When we see a personality like Malcolm X, who was from an oppressed people, you think America's bad now? The America that Malcolm X was born into was an unjust reality for black Americans, in which people would go through neighborhoods and hang black people at night and castrate them and have a picnic while doing it with their families. This was the United States of America. This is what Malcolm X was born into. So don't say he's not a secular leader. He is a secular leader. That's the greatest thing about him. That he was able to become a leader in the United States of America. All Muslims want to claim him now. He wouldn't have been able, he never gave a khutbah in one masjid. But now the Muslims want to say he was a Muslim leader. His people loved him. He wasn't just a regular imam that preaches to the choir on Friday. That's what you're trying to say? Malcolm X was a regular imam who now one Christian knows his name? That's what we compare Malcolm X to. That is ludicrous. We don't even respect Malcolm X for what he did and what he stood for, and we try to take him away from his people. He was a black leader that happened to be Muslim, instead of a Muslim leader that happens to be black, that my cousin Ray Ray ain't never heard of. All of the black Muslim leaders and the white Muslim leaders, don't nobody. This guy across the street, he don't know my name. He's a Sunday Ada. Who's that? Oh, the guy who just talks to the Muslims. The guy who comes on Friday and just preaches to people who convinced already. That's not the type of imam that Malcolm X was. Because Malcolm X was from the gutter. Malcolm X had been made so thoroughly oppressed that he used to put lye in his hair to make it straight. Because the number one God that's worshipped in America is whiteness. And that's why people come over here and get so upset with the Nation of Islam. They say, how dare you say white people are the devil? I heard this growing up. You can't say white people are the devil. I'm talking about the Muslims telling me this. You cannot, brother, you cannot say that the white man is the devil. It's haram. I'm like, you'll never say saying he God is haram, no. Which worse? Nothing worse than shirk. So they telling us to worship whiteness, and you come to America from another country and you cool with that, then don't tell me about Malcolm X's history starting when he went to Mecca. Because it didn't. His life changed when he heard that the original man was black. He had to hear that. Malcolm X crossed the street from a masjid in Boston. Malcolm X grew up across the street from a masjid in Boston. If somebody didn't tell him that the white man was the devil, the Malcolm X your love would have never existed. Malcolm X's sister used to rent out rooms in her house. Malcolm X grew up in Boston. One of the rooms she rented out to an Egyptian lady. And that lady ran a Muslim school downstairs in the living room every weekend. So your shahada was not working for Malcolm X. Because it wasn't talking about what he was growing up and going through. It was a secular, religious shahada. Don't talk about nothing. Just go pray. Don't talk about the plight of these people. Just go pray. It wasn't until Malcolm X went to prison and his brother said the white man is the devil that religion made sense to him. Growing up across the street from a masjid, we're talking about the real Malcolm X today. We're talking about the real Malcolm X. He grew up in Boston. He was in proximity to Muslims all the time. It wasn't until somebody told him, look man, they telling you that you're the devil, but they the devil. That resonated with him. Somebody was speaking to his reality. He saw his father killed when he was a child by Ku Klux Klan members. And his mother was institutionalized for 25 years of her life. But y'all want to blame Elijah Muhammad? Elijah Muhammad is the problem with America. Elijah Muhammad is part of the solution for America. Because when he came teaching that foolishness, Islam became part of the United States for the rest of the time. It's been Muslims in America. There's never a time in American history where there wasn't Muslims here. But Elijah Muhammad was teaching some foolishness that caught people's attention. So now I feel like this is true. I feel like the white man, he's the devil to me. You mean he's the devil? They was like, yes, he is the devil. All of them, every single one of them. And Malcolm X, he needed to hear that teaching. Because it was armed with that teaching that he changed the world. There ain't a personality in American history that's responsible for more people becoming Muslim than Malcolm X. There's not a person. You can ask white people who are Muslim. You can ask Asian people who are Muslim. You can ask Latinos, and they be like, yeah, man, the autobiography of Malcolm X, that did it for me. That did it for me. I met a Yemeni brother named Mukhtar. He said when he was 18, his father sent him back to Yemen to learn Arabic. But he didn't want him to forget English, so he gave him a book, and it was an autobiography of Malcolm X. He said, man, is this a real person? This a fictional book? He couldn't believe the life that he lived. Malcolm X can talk to people from the gutter to Harvard University. But he never gave a khutbah in the masjid, though. What's that say about the Muslims? We want to claim them now? How come he never gave no khutbahs? How come even when he came back from Mecca, they didn't say, "Oh, brother, come get a khutbah this Friday"? He's not qualified. That's what black folks always hear. I be like, wait a minute, I just seen a teenager get a khutbah last week. How about Malcolm X ain't qualified? Y'all just had a teenager give a khutbah last week. Because whiteness is an idol. And if we don't get rid of that idol before we die, we in trouble. Because Allah don't forgive shirk. 60 years since the assassination of Malcolm X. And so we wanted to talk about some of the things we should learn from Malcolm's life. One of the things, if you really want to be an imam, you got to deal with the social ills. It's not good to just preach to the people at the mosque. It's not. If you really want to be an imam, you got to get your hands dirty out there. You can't just come to the mosque and pray. That's a prayer leader. But when Allah says, when it's Elahum a'imma, this is something bigger than that. It's not just, I'm going to come lead prayer. I'm going to change society. And we witness this every day. Look at all of the things black people are leaders in America. This is what the verse says. I'm going to take the most despised, the ones that's made weak, and I'm going to make them the leaders. Everything black people do is cool, man. Everything. And the Muslims, we're the last ones to figure it out. They be like, "Oh man, Abdullah, he cool, but his cousin Ray though, he might try to rob something." Yeah, man, I can deal with Sister Khadijah. I don't know about Shaniqua though. That's a problem. That's white supremacy. When I grew up Muslim, man, I would go to the masjid, and everything I did was looked at as kufr. But if a white guy came in, they weren't going to say, "You can't dress like a kuffar," when he was wearing like his corduroys and stuff. But when me was like, "Why are you dressing like that? Why are you doing like that? Why do you walk like that?" Because I'm black. I'm a black person. I ain't going to stop being black because I became Muslim. Why is it that black people are the only ones that got to apostate from their race? I grew up in Oakland. There was a place in Oakland called the Yemenis Cultural Center. Now, some Muslims said, "This is the African American Cultural Center." And I'm not, that's cool. The Yemenis Cultural Center, I'm not complaining. But I'm saying if the black people said Black Cultural Center, oh, that's cool. That's kufr. You trying to be like Elijah Muhammad, brother? You can't have a Black Cultural Center. It got to be for everybody. And are we being white supremacists when we think and when we act? If I see this person and because his skin is dark, I think I'm a better Muslim than him. I got to correct his Fatiha. But why do you got to correct me, man? It's just a prayer. It's against the Sunnah. It's against the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad to correct somebody's prayer. The Prophet Muhammad said, you only correct his prayer if he changes the meaning. This is what the Prophet said. So why every time we say something, somebody come correct us? The Prophet Muhammad said, only correct his prayer when he changes the meaning. Last thing I'll say before we do the Iqamah is that Malcolm X received an ijazah and dawah from the director of Al-Azhar University. Malcolm X received an ijazah in Dawah, but he still wasn't allowed to give khutbahs when he came back. And that is a problem. Because here, the director of Al-Azhar is saying, go teach the people. And people are like, well, you ain't teaching them up in here. Akim Salah.